Today on Drawbli.
Ben is going to hair drawing school.
Hey, I'm Ben.
And I'm Abby.
And we are self-taught artists documenting our journey of learning to draw, which is of course better with friends.
So click that subscribe button if you're new around here and share your artwork on Instagram with #Drawbli.
Yeah, so I'm going to hair school.
Yeah, hair school.
You've heard?
I've heard.
Yeah.
I get my hair cut and dyed at a hair school, actually.
And so you get that sweet discount,
Sweet
and
discount.
Also it takes like 10 hours for them to cut your hair.
No, it's like 6 hours for them to cut and do highlights.
6
Or
hours
just
is an
the
absurd
highlights.
amount of time to be there.
But enough about my hair.
I did not nearly spend that much time drawing hair, although I would like
You're
to...
not ready.
I'm not ready. I need at least 10,000 hours to be any form of competent at drawing hair. So in the course that I am going through at this time...
Whose course is it?
Andrew Francesco, I believe is how you say it, but at Andrew Cockroach on Instagram. I am going through the process of starting off with bodies, then he focuses on faces, and now he's focusing on hair. And unfortunately, because I was at a coffee shop and the Wi-Fi wasn't incredibly reliable, and I'm also using Colosso, which I, God, wouldn't recommend even slightly.
It's a host site for tutorials.
It is a trash can of a website / application that barely works. Honestly, a trash can probably gets
Let
better
it all out,
internet.
Ben. Just let it all out. Okay.
I will.
You feel better now?
Not even a little. I'll complain more. So now he's focusing on hair. I wasn't able to watch it because of the lack of good application.
Yeah.
So I just started drawing hair. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to see what I can kind of gleam on my own. We've been drawing and practicing drawing for quite a while. So let's see where I am now and see if I can make any progress on these ideas.
That'll be a really interesting comparison then to get a baseline idea of where you are, a control in your study, if you will. And compare it after you take his hair portion of his course to see how much you improve after just watching his content.
Yeah, I will say probably not that much because in all honesty, he doesn't give assignments or anything like that. So I've been trying to make my own assignments, which is kind of what this here serves as. So I'll probably do some more hair after this. I would like to because I really enjoyed doing this and would recommend. So just do some simple bodies, some simple faces. Don't go too complex on them, and then get in and start playing with the hair. This one I could not figure out for the life of me. But it's a lot of fun to sit and draw hair. I feel like it's pretty chill, in terms of the mental state that you're in. Whenever I talk about sculpting hair, I mention that you kind of get into a flow state because it's not necessarily difficult, but it can be time consuming. With drawing, I'm not sure if it's the same yet, but I'm sure I'll figure it out soon.
For me, hair is a struggle to get a believable shape down. I tend to want to wing it when it comes to hair, especially if I'm drawing from imagination. And my results often look kind of lumpy, unbelievable. I think what I need to do is draw from reference and from other artists quite a lot more so that my repertoire,
Your repertoire.
I'm missing
Your
a word
mental
here.
library.
Yeah, is a little more expanded and
for
able
sure.
to pull on it. I do like to just draw hair from imagination, though.
Tell me what you think about drawing from, based on other people's artwork, using that as a reference to learn from.
I think it's a great idea. I've actually had several Drawbli videos that have just been copy studies of different artists, and I learn a lot from that. It gradually begins to inform how I might go about sketching hair, and sometimes it's a minute thing, oh, this is how I'm going to start drawing that piece of hair that swoops behind the ear in a 3/4 view, or the hair part at the top of the head. How thick am I going to make the hair before it swoops off the head versus, give it volume, as a general doodling rule.
Yeah.
When I'm not drawing from reference. And these are gradual things that eventually add up.
I think that's kind of what has informed some of my micro decisions as well, where I'm oh, this is how I'm gonna draw an eye from this angle and that kind of stuff, or the bottom of the nose from a 3/4, really specific stuff.
Or a simple mouth versus trying to copy every gradient shift and hue variance. There's so many good ideas out there from different artists, and the more time that I take to actually study those artists, the more I take away from my own practice. It can feel a little tedious to copy somebody's work because
Yeah.
it feels like homework instead of like that, joy of creation.
A little, yeah.
but-
I definitely get more out of drawing from real people. I have found whenever I'm drawing from or trying to copy other stuff, I feel like instead of actually drawing it, I should just be like tracing it almost and studying the shapes that way and the relationships between those shapes. Whereas when I'm just trying to copy it, there's like such minute little things that could be off by a little bit that make it look completely different.
Yeah, I agree. I spend a lot more time in those studies trying to tweak my proportions to look more like the original and less time focusing on like the big picture of like how they render skin and why they shape the hair the way they do. Or draw the face the way they do. So I do agree. I think I'm still at a stage where sometimes tracing just feels even more tedious and just not
for
fun,
sure.
So it's hard to make myself do that. Oh, I like this reference here. Her hair is really cool.
Yeah, I was just trying to find as many like crazy hairstyles
Her
as I
eyeliner is
could.
really fun too.
It is. It's a very extreme. It's like a like a quintuple cat eye.
It's like a wing, like
wing,
a angel's
yes.
wing.
Ooh,
It's
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, she had actually a bunch of different like I clicked on this image and then got recommended a million other images based on her and her crazy hair. And she's got her hair up in a bunch of different styles. So if you go on Pinterest looking for some hair reference, she's a good one. Just look up mohawk hair and I'm sure you'll find her like as the first image.
Yeah, that's awesome. I've read interviews with people who do their hair this way because it's pretty extreme, right? It's not. Some people would
read
say.
interviews from people who do their hair this way.
Yeah, I just.
Tell me about that.
Oh my gosh, I know. I read the silliest things. But anyway, somehow I came across an interview with somebody who does their hair like this. And she said a lot of it in pursuing this look in general comes down to she wants, people that take the time to approach her, she wants them to be sure that basically that they want to approach her, for who she is, not just like, you're either really pretty or you fit into the mold that I think is acceptable. She's saying like, well, I'm not in your mold, and clearly I'm not here just to look like,
What if
an
but
Instagram model.
It's somebody's mold.
It's somebody's mold. I think we're all into, but it's a less common mold. That's for sure.
It's a less common mold. I would agree.
It's a cool look.
But I do like that hair a lot. It's very cool.
Yeah, I like this hair color. I like these pieces of light that she's got going on in her hair.
Yes, it actually reminds me of Erin Hansen's hair, who is co-creator of Game Grumps, or co-host of Game Grumps.
It reminds me of Demon Slayer, what's his name? The lion-haired guy.
The lion-haired guy.
Who dies in the movie.
Who
Spoilers.
Whoa! I don't know his name. The fire dude.
The fire dude.
Spoilers, I
He
guess.
comes back to life, probably. I don't know.
Wow, Abby. Now we have to put a big spoiler warning in our video.
No, we're not going to do that. Sorry.
This was actually my favorite, probably my favorite. I don't know. This was like the most fun to work on. It had a lot of asymmetries in it. And because of that, it also gave me kind of a puzzly challenge to figure out and try to create here. I ended up creating the left and right side differently, but I felt like they both kind of worked. I did lean towards more of like the turned up spiky side, but it helped me, also figure out what doesn't work, which is really important when you're doing studies.
Okay, yeah, cool.
Oh, also, I've been getting more into just drawing and sketching in general and trying to like figure out that process. And I really like drawing like I sculpt, where you can see me going in and erasing a lot. I know a lot of people will go in and like they'll draw a line and they're like, no, not good enough. Undo, redraw a line, undo, redraw a line. That is not me. I'm like going in and erasing parts, just like resketching. I don't know. It feels really organic. It feels really similar to sculpting and how I work in 3D. I just like that process a lot. Do you do something similar?
Yeah, I've played with that idea of like, oh, this line isn't exactly right, let me erase it and start over. But more true to me is definitely just repeating a sketchy part on the same piece and erasing what I don't like. So I agree. When you draw, do you draw more with your wrist or with your elbow and shoulder?
I probably draw a lot more with my wrist on the iPad just because it's like small and tight and closed. It's not up on the Artboard Pro or anything like that. But when I am on the Artboard Pro, I definitely get in more motion in there. Like when I'm sculpting on my tablet, it's my whole arm.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's in my opinion, like I'll be completely honest, I don't think it really matters that much. I think you can get fine results both ways. I think it's what you're used to. Like if you're trying to get these really beautiful flowing lines, awesome. Like you'll probably get better results using your whole arm, but I'm not. I'm not trying to get these really beautiful, long, flowing, perfect lines.
What are you trying to get?
I'm trying to just like draw and sketch and get that idea down. I've seen plenty of messy sketches. I've seen beautiful line work from people that use their finger as a tool, Zeronis being one. I think you can get good results multiple different ways.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'll be honest again and say, like, if you really want super clean lines, there are automatic tools that will help you do that better. Like if you like Lazy Mouse, Lazy Nizumi is a really popular one on desktop. In ZBrush, there's I think it is just called Lazy Mouse, which I use on like all my brushes, not because I can't like sculpt a straight line or really even need to, but because I want to get to a place where I make sure it's like as clean as I possibly can when I'm doing things like pinching.
I think Lois uses a good amount of like Lazy Mouse on her in her process. At least when I've seen her reels on Instagram, it looks like she does. That's something I would like to experiment more with. Anything to help, for me, achieve more of a flowy, clean look, which is an aesthetic I really like. So I would be interested in pursuing anything that pushes me in that direction. But I do like your look here, and I think it's, getting exactly what you said, like the picture across and the image across that you're going for.
Yeah, I think, and this is why I want to draw more. I definitely reserve the right to change my opinion. I think the more I've been drawing, the more I've been figuring out how important drawing is to painting and how they're all one and the same. Which I've definitely heard before, but like you don't really internalize that stuff until you like figure it out and do it yourself. But I don't know, I've just been really into drawing a lot more lately, a lot more than sitting there painting an entire piece.
Yeah.
Drawing, I feel like you can get the main idea across for what you want to do without sitting there, completely rendering everything.
Oh, yes, that is exactly how I feel. I love to do like the line work, and then a lot of times I'll just be like, okay, it's all done now. I don't want to draw or paint and render it out, because that it does take a long time. And I think the real fun part for me of like creating is getting the basic idea and image across, and the energy of the lines, and not so much the like smoothing out the skin again and again and again, trying to get it to not look muddy.
Which is so weird for me, I think, because when I initially started here on Drawbli, I did not think that would be I was like vehemently kind of against lines. I was like, I suck at lines. I don't like doing lines. So I really pictured myself being more of like an alla prima style painter, like go in, no lines. And I definitely leaned that way, I feel like, in the beginning, where I'd just like use big paint brushes and just stick to painting. But now in my process, I always start with a sketch to like figure out proportions and landmarks and get everything where I want it.
What's funny is that lately I've actually been shifting in a different direction myself.
You do a lot more like pure paint, no sketch.
Yeah, a lot more than I used to. For somebody who had to be taught by you how to use like the selection
grass is
tool.
Always greener
I know,
on the other
I guess
side.
So. But I think that's part of the fun of learning anyway, is there's so much to try and so much to experiment with in terms of style and workflow. With art specifically, it's kind of an endless pool of interesting learning.
An endless supply.
Endless supply. You can take it as far as you want to.
Yeah, and we've definitely looked at a lot of artists who have taken it very far.
Oh yeah, just amazing. I love it when one of the artist adventures we do, if we catch a video or a reel of their like beginning to end workflow, that's always so eye-opening to see like how they're thinking from the very beginning concepting stages to how they go about filling, like blocking out. All that is so fascinating.
Yeah, it is really cool to watch, and just to see how different it is from our process. I feel like the steps to how you get to that finished piece can vary quite a lot. Like the whole, like the generals are always there. They're like, you know, pretty similar. But the specifics of like, here, I use this brush specifically for this when I'm doing the, like, you know, like I use this soft brush here with a selection to create the blush or, you know, whatever. I think there's a lot of variety there, and it is very helpful to see that process. I like getting to see that, and I hope that, you know, some people get some of that out of watching our stuff here on Drawbli.
Oh yeah.
Like either like when you're watching something like this, my hope from me is that you see like you're like, oh, Ben's doing a hair study. Like I want to try drawing some hair. Like that's like my dream, that you're like, yeah, let's do it too. Let's try to do some hair.
Absolutely.
I would love that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is making me want to draw hair.
It's making me want to draw hair again. I mean, I planned on drawing more hair. So that's good. That's doubly good.
And we might, you know, head to a coffee shop later today. So if this is also your inspiration to head to a coffee shop later today and draw and order a nice beverage and listen to the coffee chatter, go do that too. You know, if this is your oomph, you need to get out the door and go do that somewhere else. Bring your paper and pencil. It's okay to have big materials in public. I'm a big proponent of that, even if it can feel a little silly to set up your workstation somewhere public. Go for it.
Go for it. And if you want more oomph to get you out the door, click that like and subscribe button.
Share your work on Instagram with #Drawbli, because drawing is better with friends.
And this is the part where we say
Goodbye.
Goomba. Some oomph to get you out the door?
Yeah, some people, you know, some people might appreciate a little. Sometimes I need a little oomph to get me out the door.
Give me an idea. What's some oomph?
Like, oh, that does sound like a good idea. You know what? I do want to be in a coffee shop right now.
Some oomph.
Yeah, just
Okay,
like, oh,
I'm
does
into
that sound
it.
good? Like,
I like it.
Oh, an Americano, half calf with a splash of cream and 2 pumps of brown sugar syrup.
Oomph.
There's the oomph.